What's going on, everybody? My name is Kevin Ryan, and welcome to another episode of Gameplay. The game in the background is Outdrive. This is a infinite racer with a retro wave aesthetic and a musical score that has brought together a bunch of musical artists that specialize in this retro wave synthesizing, I don't know the descriptions, type of music that I really quite enjoy. This game is effectively a proof of concept, as stated by the developer on the Steam page. There's not a whole lot to it. The purpose of this game is to show off the retro wave look and feel, as well as highlight the musical compositions of the artists that this developer has brought together to form this game's soundtrack. That is all he's doing. He's only asking... currently at the launch discount, he's only asking for $1.78. That's currently the launch discount. The regular price is $2.99. Now, I got this game for free because the developer has been giving out basically Steam codes to anybody who asks, really, which is quite nice of him, really, and it kind of begs the question why he's asking for money in the first place if all this is a proof of concept. But to each his own. I mean, it's not going to break your bank anyway, and apparently if you ask the guy for a code, he'll give it to you. But I think largely he's doing that to generate goodwill, because he has been accused basically of ripping off assets from a game that was kickstarted in May of 2015, that game being Outdrive 2000, which I will show on the screen now. People are claiming that the developer of Outdrive ripped assets from the playable demo of Outdrive 2000 that was made available during its Kickstarter campaign. And if you look at the two games, I really don't see it, you know? I mean, there's similarities, obviously, but no one has... Like, no one owns the retro wave theme. You know what I mean? No one owns that style. And it's very common. You see it in Blood Dragon. You see it in movies like Tron to some degree. You see it in... what was the movie? It was a movie... it was actually just called Drive. The movie with... what's-his-face? You know, that blonde actor that everybody falls in love with. Ryan Gosling. You saw that sort of theme in that movie as well. And I really just think the accusations against this game are just not justified. The developer himself has even offered to hand out his source code to the developers of Outdrive 2000 to prove that like nothing has been ripped. And I mean, combined with the fact that he's handing out codes for free, so you know, it just doesn't fit. So that's all I wanted to address about that particular issue. Going forward, I'm just going to talk about the game itself, what I like, what I don't like, because I actually do like it, and I had fun with it in the time that I spent with it. So, what is going on in Outdrive, now that I've droned on enough about stupid Steam drama? You are basically this renegade outlaw, you know, no surprise there, and your girl has been shot, and you have hooked up you have hooked up her heart to your engine, and in order to keep her alive, you need to drive. And that's it. That is the entire premise behind this game. You have to drive for as long as possible in order to keep her alive. Now, you may have noticed below the car there is a meter. If you deaccelerate, i.e. stop driving, she dies, and that is the red left side of the meter there. On the right side, if you accelerate too much and you overheat your engine, she will take damage, and if you do that for too long, she will die as well. Now, a really cool thing about this game that I actually like a lot is the dynamic nature of its soundtrack. Now, as I mentioned, the developer got together a whole bunch of artists who specialize in the synthesizing retro wave musical style. And he brought a bunch of them together to compose this game's soundtrack. And it's really, really good. Like, for those who are fans of that genre of music, there is a lot to be enjoyed here. But if you slow down at any point in the game, if you deaccelerate, if you fall into the red, then the game's music warps and it slows down, right? And it's to symbolize the slowing heart rate, I guess you could say, of your girlfriend who you're trying to keep alive. And the game encourages you, obviously, to do better in order to keep her alive so you don't lose. But at the same time, you want to hear this music, not in a warped way because it's so good. So it's a really clever way to encourage players to not only play better, but hear this music properly. And I like that dynamic nature of the game itself. Now, one of my biggest complaints about the game, and this is one of the biggest complaints that people have with the game in general, is the lack of controller support. Now, the game was developed in Steam, which means when you launch it, you will be given a launcher. Not all, or, oh God, what did I say? This game was developed in Steam. Excuse me. This game was developed in Unity, so when you boot it up, you are presented with a launcher window, and from here you can choose your graphical settings, whether your screen resolution, whether you choose windowed or full screen, that kind of deal. And here you can rebind your keys on the keyboard, which I believe works fine. I haven't done it because I think the default control scheme works fine, and I'll get into that in a moment. But some people have found difficulty when plugging a controller and trying to get the game to read their gamepad. Now, I plugged in my Xbox 360 gamepad, and the game didn't read from that at all. And other users have reported problems in that area as well. So, as it stands, the game does not have controller support, which is a shame because driving games, or games with driving of any nature, controls far better with a controller. And that really is a result of the difference between keyboard control and analog control. Now, analog control meaning your joystick, which allows you to judge, to make the minute corrections in your driving far more easily than you can with a keyboard. Whereas in a keyboard, all you do is push a key or you don't. You can't really feel it out. So that is a problem. As you can see here in the background, this is one of my favorite things about the game. Little events like this, I believe, happen every 8 minutes, where this helicopter just comes over and starts shooting at you. It can't kill you. Nothing in this game, short of losing the way in the ways that I mentioned, can kill you. All he does is just shoot at you, and he'll occasionally fire missiles at the road, which, as a result, causes debris to get in your way, and those act as obstacles. But he's just there for show. The helicopter is just there to make you feel like a badass, and it's just got this 80s action movie vibe to it that I really, really appreciated. So that was a fun thing that happened in the game. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, the default controls of the game, you use WASD, W-A-S-D, to steer the car, and left shift is acceleration, and spacebar is your e-brake, in order, which helps you drift around those difficult to navigate turns. And like I said, it's wonky to control because it's not on a controller. You're using a keyboard. It's unintuitive, but it's not impossible. I got much better at the game as I continued to play. I put about an hour into it before I began this video. And my best time in the game is about 20 minutes. And that's only because I stopped. Like, I didn't lose. I stopped. Because I felt I had seen enough in order to give my impressions of it. And I like it a lot. I had fun with it. You do get better at it. I learned that it's better to perhaps tap and hold, do a mixture of tapping and holding the spacebar rather than holding it to do drifts. Things like that. So the game is not impossible to control with a keyboard, but it is far, far from ideal. Aside from that, some minor glitches that I noticed is that even if you let go of the spacebar after a drift, the game might still think you're drifting, and the car might take a few seconds to come out of that drift. Holy shit, I suck. So that can screw you up a little bit. The other little thing here is the game doesn't seem to full screen all that well. There were times where I would select full screen and I would only get half of a window. So that was kind of weird, which is the reason I recorded in windowed mode, and it's probably the reason for those black bars that you see around the screen, for which I apologize. But they're not a huge deal, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, like, it's a solid attempt. It's a far cry from the crap that we usually see on Steam, and I really don't think that people commenting on this game as being a shameless ripoff of Outdrive 2000. I just don't think those accusations, those comments are justified. The game is similar, obviously, to Outdrive 2000, but also Outdrive 2000 aesthetically is similar to literally any other game ever that has made use of the retro wave aesthetic or the genre or the musical style. So I don't think there's a strong foundation for an argument against this game as an asset flip or anything like that. I honestly think that it is a developer making the attempt at a proof of concept in order to show off this, this word of the day, retrowave aesthetic, as well as these musical compositions of these composers in the background. It's not a perfect game. It's glitchy in some ways, and it could definitely do with controller support, but it's not bad. It's not a bad game. And it's quite relaxing. I honestly had fun with it. I was having fun with it towards the end before I recorded this video. And it's fun. It's nice. It's not horrible. It's not the best, but it's not horrible. And it in no way deserves the hate that it is getting right now on the forums from certain users. So there's that. Take it for what it is. Do your own research. Come to your own conclusions. But personally, I don't think we have a problem here as far as the legitimacy of the game is concerned. It's a good attempt. It's a good attempt by the developer. Not perfect. Could use some work. But we've seen far worse on Steam. My name is Kevin Ryan. Thank you very much for watching. And I will see you next time. Take it easy. Bye-bye.